The haunting beauty of the Onna. The Onna is a mysterious and beautiful female yokai that has been a part of Japanese folklore for centuries. It is said to take the form of a beautiful woman with long black hair, dressed in a white kimono, with a skeletal-like face and a body made of bones. Some say she has a fan in one hand and a small skull in the other. Her presence has been known to bring fear and dread to those who witness her. Yet there is something strangely enchanting about the Onna that captivates and draws people in. Onna translates as bone woman. She can usually be found in dark streets or alleys, as well as at graveyards or cemeteries. She has no appetite for food, but she has a strong sexual appetite. Although not all women who die will turn into vengeful beings of grudge and jealousy, such as the Onna, there are those who do. Onna retain an undying love that persists long after their flesh has rotted away. This allows them to continue to be with the object of their affection despite having died. These ghosts appear as they did in life, often young, beautiful women. The men who loved the Onna during life will continue to see her as she was in life. Only those unclouded by love or with strong religious faith are able to penetrate their disguise and see their true form, a rotting, skeletal corpse that has returned from the grave. At night, a Onna rises from the grave and wanders to the house of her former lover. Her appearance shocks those who believed her to be dead. This shock quickly turns into a joy that blinds the Onna's lover to any clues that something might be wrong. Even the Onna herself may not know of her condition. She is driven only by love. She exists as a ghost only to continue the love she had in life. The Onna spends the night and leaves in the morning. This unholy coupling can continue for days, or even weeks, without being noticed. However, there is a price to be paid. Each night she drains some of her lover's life force, and he grows ever sicker and weaker. Without intervention, he will eventually die, joining his lover forever in death's embrace. In most cases, a friend or a servant of her lover will see through the Onna's illusion and alert someone to her true identity. Though her human lover may be repulsed by her when the truth is revealed to him, the ghost may not realize her condition and continue to visit every night. A home can be warded with prayers and magic charms against entry by ghosts, but they only work as long as the master of the house wills them to. As the Onna's body decays further, her enchanting allure only increases. Eventually most men succumb and let her into their homes one last time, sacrificing their own lives to the ghost of the woman they loved. In Sakian's explanatory text in the Kanjaku Gazu Zoku Hyeki states that there is a story called Otoji Boko in which an aged female skeleton would carry a chochin or paper lantern decorated with botan flowers on it and visit the house of a man she loved back when she was still alive, and then cavort with that man. In other words, this refers to Botan Doro, the peony lantern, within the collection of writings called Otoji Boko by Asai Ryoi. In the Botan Doro, a man named Ogiwara Shinojo meets a beautiful woman named Yako and they become entangled almost every night. But one night an old person from next door catches a glimpse of it and sees the strange scene of Shinojo embracing with a skeleton. According to Tohoku Kaiden no Tabi by Norio Yamada, there is an odd tale in the Aomori prefecture about a yokai under the title of Onna. It says that in the Ansei period, a woman who was said to be ugly by those around her became a good-looking skeleton after death, and walked around town as a skeleton to let everyone see. It is said that she likes to collect fish bones and would collapse upon encountering a high priest. Botan Doro, the peony lantern, is a Japanese ghost story and one of the most famous ghosts in Japan. The plot involves sex with the dead and the consequences of loving a ghost. Botan Doro entered Japanese literary culture in the 17th century, through a translation of a book of Chinese ghost stories called Jiading Xinhua, New Tales Under the Lamplight, by Kuyu. The collection contained Buddhist morality lessons on karma. In 1666, author Asai Ryoi responded to the Edo period craze for ghosts, spawned largely by the popular Gain Hyakumonogatari Kaidenkai, by adapting the more spectacular tales from Jiading Xinhua into his own book Otoji Boko, Hand Puppets. At the time, Japan's borders were entirely closed, with very little of the outside world known by its people. As such, China was viewed as a mysterious and exotic nation. Asai removed the Buddhist morality lessons and gave the stories a Japanese setting, placing Botan Doro in the Nezu district of Tokyo. Otoji Boko was immensely popular, spawning multiple imitative works such as Zoku Otoji Boko, Hand Puppets Continued, and Shin Otoji Boko, New Hand Puppets, and is considered the forerunner of the literary Kaiden movement that resulted in the classic Ugetsu Monogatari. In 1884, Botan Doro was adapted by famous storyteller Sanyute Incho into a rakugo, which increased the popularity of the tale. In order to achieve a greater length, the story was fleshed out considerably, adding background information on several characters as well as additional subplots. It was then adapted to the kabuki stage in July 1892. In 1899, Lafcadio Hearn, with the help of a friend, translated Botan Doro into English for his book in ghostly Japan. He titled his adaptation A Passional Karma, and based it on the kabuki version of the story. A more modern version of the play was written in 1974 by the playwright Onishi Nobuyuki. A new adaptation by Kawatake Shinsechi III was staged for the first time with a full kabuki casting in June 1989, again at the Shimbashi Embuho. The Kawatake version is still occasionally revived but is less popular than the Onishi one. Much like Yatsuya Kaiden, there remains a superstition that actors who play the ghost roles in Kaiden Botan Doro will come to harm. This comes from a 1919 performance at the Imperial Theater, when the two actresses playing Atsuyu and her maid became sick and died within a week of each other. Otoji Boko Story of the Hon Onna. On the first night of Oben, a beautiful woman and a young girl holding a peony lantern stroll by the house of the widowed samurai Ogiwara Shinojo. Ogiwara is instantly smitten with the woman, named Atsuyu, and vows an eternal relationship. From that night onward, the woman and the girl visit at dusk, always leaving before dawn. An elderly neighbor, suspicious of the girl, peeks into his home and finds Ogiwara in bed with a skeleton. Consulting a Buddhist priest, Ogiwara finds that he is in danger unless he can resist the woman, and he places a protection charm on his house. The woman is then unable to enter his house, but calls him from outside. Finally, unable to resist, Ogiwara goes out to greet her, and is led back to her house, which is a grave in a temple. In the morning, Ogiwara's dead body is found entwined with the woman's skeleton. Kabuki version of the Hon Onna. A young student named Saburo falls in love with a beautiful woman named Atsuyu, the daughter of his father's best friend. They meet secretly, and promise to be married. However, Saburo falls ill, and is unable to see Atsuyu for a long time. Later, when Saburo recovers and goes to see his love, he is told that Atsuyu has died. He prays for her spirit during the Oben festival, and is surprised to hear the approaching footsteps of two women. When he sees them, they look remarkably like Atsuyu and her maid. It is revealed that her aunt, who opposed the marriage, spread the rumor that Atsuyu had died, and told Atsuyu in turn that Saburo had died. The two lovers, reunited, begin their relationship again in secret. Each night Atsuyu, accompanied by her maid who carries a peony lantern, spends the night with Saburo. This continues blissfully until one night a servant peeks through a hole in the wall in Saburo's bedroom, and sees him having sex with a decaying skeleton, while another skeleton sits in the doorway holding a peony lantern. He reports this to the local Buddhist priest, who locates the graves of Atsuyu and her maid. Taking Saburo there, he convinces him of the truth, and agrees to help Saburo guard his house against the spirits. The priest places ofuda around the house, and prays the ninbutsu every night. The plan works, and Atsuyu and her maid are unable to enter, although they come every night and call out their love to Saburo. Pining for his sweetheart, Saburo's health begins to deteriorate. Saburo's servants, afraid that he will die from heartbreak and leave them without work, remove the ofuda from the house. Atsuyu enters, and again has sex with Saburo. In the morning, the servants find Saburo dead, his body entwined with Atsuyu's skeleton, with a blissful expression on his face. The main differences between the two versions are the changing of the human lover from Ogiwara Shinojo, an elderly widower, to Saburo, a young student, and the establishment of a pre-existing lover's relationship between Atsuyu and Saburo. Botan Doro establishes the theme of a sexual encounter with the ghost of a woman as a central aspect of the story, a theme which would later go on to influence a number of later ghost stories. This theme follows the standard pattern of a no-theater Katsuomono play, where the female ghost hides her spectral nature until the final reveal at the end of the story. The nature of the ghost's return to Earth is either a lingering love, or a general loneliness. The Otoji Boko version of Botan Doro has no prior relationship, and Atsuyu merely wishes for a companion in the afterlife. The Rakugo and Kabuki versions, however, have Atsuyu returning for a former lover. The sexual ghost can be found in Kyoka Izumi's story Maya Kakushi no Rei, A Quiet Obsession, which features a sensual encounter with a female ghost in an onsen. Botan Doro is famous for the onomatopoeia, Karen Koron, which is the sound of Atsuyu's wooden clogs announcing her appearance on stage. Botan Doro is one of the first Japanese ghost stories to be put to film, with a silent version in 1910. 6 further adaptations were made between 1911 and 1937, although all of these have been lost to time and only the titles are still known. Notable is Satsuo Yamamoto's 1968 version. It is variously known as Bride from Hell, Haunted Lantern, Ghost Beauty, My Bride is a Ghost, Bride from Hades, or Peony Lanterns. Yamamoto's film roughly follows the Otoji Boko version of the story, establishing protagonist Hagiwara Shinzaburo as a teacher who flees an unwanted marriage with his brother's widow and lives quietly some distance from his family. The usual encounter with Atsuyu follows, although the inevitable consequence is treated as a happy ending, or, at worst, bittersweet, since they are united beyond the grave, if not in life. In 1972, director Chusei Son made a pink film version for Nikkatsu's Roman porno series, entitled Hellish Love. Following the Rakugo and Kabuki versions, Hellish Love places emphasis on the sexual nature of the relationship between the protagonist and Atsuyu. Atsuyu is killed by her father, who disapproves of the match with such a lowly samurai, but she promises to return on Oban to be reunited with her lover. A massive change in the story is made in Masaru Tsushima's 1996 Atsuyu, Kaden Botan Doro, Haunted Lantern. This version has Shinzaburo dreaming of a past life, where he promised a double death pact with Atsuyu, but fails to kill himself after she dies. In his present life, he meets a girl named Suya who is the reincarnation of his past beloved, but Shinzaburo's father arranges a marriage for him with Suya's sister, Suzu. Shinzaburo's friend attempts to attack Suya, so that she would stop being a nuisance jealous of her younger sister. Devastated, the two sisters commit a death pact together. The usual consequences follow, but the film ends with Shinzaburo and Atsuyu further reincarnated together, living happily in a future life. The Onna is an enigmatic figure that has been part of Japanese folklore for centuries. Its haunting beauty and mysterious presence has captivated and inspired generations of storytellers and artists alike. Its power and influence can still be felt today in the stories and art that it has inspired. The Onna is a powerful figure that continues to haunt the imagination and capture the hearts of those who come into contact with it.